Welcome to the Speaker Show. It's another beautiful Friday evening. Honestly, I am very excited this evening. As always, most of you know that I'm always excited to be here because this is what I love to do. All right, welcome. My name is Niniola Fatai. I'm your host for the Speaker Show. So today we're going to be having a very great time because I have a very special guest that's coming in today. And then I'm just like, oh my goodness. Most of you that you're out there, I just want you to stay tuned for what's going on tonight. We have one of the powerful women in the house. Yes. All right. So for most of you who don't know, the Speaker Show, it's a place of inspiration where minds are being liberated through reasons. So what we do is that we have a platform where we create hope, we give hope to people through other people's story. So it's a platform where you come where you feel liberated, you feel motivated, you're inspired. It doesn't matter what you're going through in your life. It doesn't matter the circumstances that you're going through. There's always something here for you that's going to help you for the day. So the Speaker Show again, 7 p.m. every Friday. So always tune in and then always check our YouTube page, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We are always there. So always tune in for for inspirational word. So before I waste most of our time, because I am excited about the guest that we have, like I mentioned to you before. So I'm going to be introducing our guest tonight. And for most of you who don't know, our guest, she is the president for Liberal Party in Ontario, and most especially for the region of Waterloo. Yes. And then one of the most biggest party in Canada, which is the Liberal Party. Yes, for most of you who don't know who Liberal Party is, you can always Google it, and then we have more information down for you as well too on our site. So you can always go to and then find out about Liberal Party in Canada and so forth. Yes. So now the woman that I have this evening, oh my goodness, she's done so many amazing things, not just for the region, not just for the region of Waterloo alone, which is Cambridge, but also for Ontario generally, in transportation, like making rules, making laws, like when it comes to when it comes to the to the provincial law. So she's the forgive me, okay? So I'm just super excited. I'm just super excited. So that's why. So each and every one of you, help me welcome Mrs. Kathryn McGarry. All right. Thank you, everyone. Get excited for what's gonna happen. Hello.
Hello, it's so great to join you on the show this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's been a great spring so far, and it's a beautiful day out, and lots of exciting things in the province and in life right now. And I always think things look up when we're reaching summer solstice, when the days are long and the nights are short and the weather's terrific. So good to join you tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. I know the weather is beautiful out there. And then, me as well too. Summertime, I'm always looking forward. I'm always looking forward because, it's the only time that you get to do so many things at a time. Like you said, longer days, shorter nights. So like, there's so much to do during the day. So which is good. So now on the speaker show right here, I just want you to introduce yourself for my viewers that they're on here tonight. Please go ahead.
Well, thank you so much, Nini. And I know that we've been chatting about who I am and what I've done, and I really appreciate you having me on the show. But I will tell you that I've been a career-long nurse. My value statements were at the very beginning, I wanted to help people. And so I was in the emerge and ICU departments. I was a pediatric nurse and also a nurse at home care as well. And during the course of my community experience in Cambridge, I got quite involved in a lot of volunteer organizations. I was a founding member of the Hospice of Waterloo. I sat on organizations about planning, social services, community safety, and a number of different things. So when I was approached in 2007 to run for the provincial Liberals, it was like, I can't do that. what are you crazy? But the more I thought about it, there was a lot of the provincial kind of ministries that I was working with in the course of my work and my volunteerism. Healthcare is under the provincial jurisdiction, planning, community safety, social services. And so the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, that'll help me serve my community. So certainly I stepped up to run for the Ontario Liberal Party for Cambridge in 2007. And I didn't win that election, but I ran again in 2011. And I came closer, but lost again. It's a tough riding for the Liberals. I joined the party as an executive council member, and in 2014 I ran again. So I took a long-term leave of absence from my nursing job and jumped into provincial politics.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. I love politics, and then, that like the last time when we met at the International Women, conference, like, when I heard you speak, I was just touched by your story, honestly speaking. And I was just like, look at this amazing woman that is just doing so many things. And I would tell you, you really inspire me, honestly speaking. You really do. And tonight I just want you to like talk about, like, politics, and then, as a woman, like finding your place, because I know, like, it is men dominated area. So even though, like, there are women there, but like it's very few. But I want you to like, share with my viewers tonight, like, how did you get your ground, to get to this place, to hold this position that you have right now.
Well, thank you. And those are all good questions. And I would say that I did not see myself 20 years ago jumping into this. I would have told you that you really needed your head read. I wasn't political by nature, didn't do any political science. But what got me was that I realized that I'm a person that likes to help people. That's why I got into a pretty all-female profession, or almost at that time. And I realized that in order to influence people in their lives to really help, I do believe government is a way to bring good into people's lives. I took them up on running provincially and got to know a lot of the different ways of how government works, the different levels. To me, the word government sounded boring, but for me, it's about people, and it's people that run governments that step up to lead their communities, and it's people and their relationships and the collaboration that you bring in order to bring solutions. And when I did finally get elected in 2014 to 18, I immediately was appointed as the parliamentary secretary for transportation. And that's a pretty male dominated area. I remember going to one conference to speak, and there were 600 delegates. 27 of us were women. And it was kind of fun to be able to talk about all things transportation. But road safety, highway safety, cycling safety, pedestrian safety, that was all front and center in people's minds. And so I was able to bring about some of the legislative um, changes and new laws about distracted driving, for instance, drug impaired driving, um, more cycling infrastructure and cycling safety were part of our laws and part of the money that I distributed. And so after a couple of years, I was then appointed to cabinet. So I sat with 28 of my colleagues at the Executive Council of the Province of Ontario, which is a pretty cool thing for anybody to do, male or female. And I was appointed as the Minister of Natural Resources and Forestry. And I was only the fourth woman in the province's history to represent that ministry. And I learned more about moose hunting than you can imagine. Hot mix, hot mix asphalt for some of our road builders because we used forest roads and things. But I was also able to influence some of the outcomes, strengthened our legislation on the green belt, which is environmentally sensitive and a very important topic today. I was able to bring a bill forward about aggregate resources, or the more environment protections around gravel pits. And I was also able to modernize the Conservation Authorities Act to prevent some of the flooding and also to influence our environment. And then when I got a promotion as Minister of Transportation in 2018, and again, I was only the third woman in the province's history to hold that portfolio. So I certainly got to learn about being a woman in a man's job. And one of the things, Nini, that I had to sort of ensure is that I knew my files very well. Women still have to burst that glass ceiling, as they say, but
Mm-hmm.
we have to prove that not only do we know our files better than our male counterparts sometimes, but I had to make sure that I was really engaged with each and every speech that I made, every interaction. I could talk about the weight per axle better than any of them. And I think that it was a real privilege to actually serve in that area. And I followed strong women in those portfolios. And so it was a very interesting way to try and influence not only the basic laws and legislation, but also prove to other women that they too can step forward. And in particular, young women can also step up to be politicians, leaders, as well as cabinet ministers and whatever level of government that they step up to do.
I think that's amazing, honestly speaking. And I honestly agree with you because, like, as a woman, you have to be able to know know what you're doing. You have to be up to date. You have to make sure that where I'm going, there's a lot of competitions. And then the men are there and they're just like, I got it, without my books, without knowing anything, I got it, without having to read. But, as a woman, like, we have this extra work that we have to put in, to make sure and then, to prove that, yes, like, we can do it, we are capable. And that's something that you've done. And honestly, I give it up to you, honestly speaking. That's amazing, honestly. And then, I felt that, like, with women like you, like, with young women like me, like, there's so much that we can accomplish, like, in that area when we look up to the things that, like, you have done, and then the people before you, like, that you guys have done. And it just gives hope that, yes, like, I can do it as well too, right? So, which is beautiful. And thank you for taking those lead, like, because, like, if you think about it, you could as well say, oh, you know what, it's not for me. Oh no, I can't do that. Oh no, you know what, like, that's it. And then you just walk away from that direction. But you stood your ground and say, you know what, let's go for it. So, which it means that, like, you are very, very brave. And I appreciate that a lot, honestly speaking. Like, taking the lead, like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And one more time, thank you for that. So now we're gonna go on to I know earlier on you mentioned that you started with the emergency, like, with your health program. So I just wanted to, like, to talk about that. So yeah, so we can have more insight how you started, like, how you get to, like, started helping, with the emergency. And I'm sure there must have been something that prompted you, which I won't talk about because I know that, like, I've heard the story before.
Yeah.
But I would just wanted to, like, to share to everyone that is watching.
Well, thank you, Nini. And again, as I said earlier, I had no idea politics was in my future. But two things that you need in order to really consider running, you have to know why you're running, and you need to know how you're going to run in any level of government. And it really was crystallized for me in the mid 90s or the early 90s. Our oldest son had a life threatening lung condition, and he spent pretty well most of 4 years in hospital between his ages 10 and 14 at a time where our province had such dirty air, smog days. He had a breathing condition, so he really struggled, and we weren't able to care for him at home. We didn't have adequate home care, and we were both working and had other children. And at that time, I thought I'm going to someday do something about what it takes to make cleaner air, to have better health care, to bring forward some policies that ensures we have adequate nurses and doctors, not only in the hospitals, but at home. And so I had the why I wanted to influence policy at its highest level. And the how to came from my volunteerism. You know, I was a head of a heritage organization here in the city of Cambridge, and I joined all kinds of, um, I guess, organizations and task forces, city planning committees, and was a frequent visitor to city council at the podium and also the regional council. And I learned how to do the business. You know, I watched and learned. And, you know, eventually when people asked me to run, I knew why I wanted to run. And that was really about healthcare and to how to. And I had help along the way. You don't just go in and get elected and then immediately influence policy. I had many mentors. I got to know the Minister of Health at the time, which was Deb Matthews. And then when I was elected, it was Eric Hoskins and Helena Jasic as well, were the ministers of health at the time. And healthcare is the biggest budget spend.
Yep.
46 cents of every dollar of provincial tax you pay goes to healthcare, and made sense to do something about it. So in government and in healthcare, we were able to see the closing of all coal-fired plants at the beginning of 2014 in Ontario, something that the previous Premier Dalton McGuinty put into place. And that stopped smog days until we had the wildfires recently. Um, we decarbonized, or maybe cleaned up our energy system, and that made a tremendous difference in emergency rooms and in our healthcare and the respiratory health of 1 in 5 Ontarians who have health related issues. And my proudest moment was standing up in my place in the legislature in November 2014, 6 months after I was elected, and I brought forward my private member's bill, the Ontario Lung Health Act, that would put a lens on all of the legislation that we were doing:
Mhm.
environment, healthcare, prevention, health and well-being, and a number of other different things. So that's really what got me going. Eventually, that bill did pass. I would say the current government has really taken most of the legislation passed under the Liberals and backtracked it, which is unfortunate. But that's how you get to change things. And at the cabinet table is when you can influence some of your colleagues to really consider what your ministry or what you think is really important to help the people of Ontario. So that's really what's in it for me, is not just helping one individual family, but really the overall health and well-being for our citizens. And you know, we were saying earlier that, you know, I was brave to do it. Yes, you need a lot of courage. But for young women in particular, you need mentors. You need someone to be behind you and to sort of lift you up and say, of course you can do this. I'm going to help you, and here's how. Nobody gets to this level without standing on the shoulders of others. And, you know, I've been blessed to have many good mentors that, you know, I did seek out, but I followed their advice. And so my advice to young women is, don't think that you have to start it or stop at any given time. You can influence all the levels of government as long as you've got a really good supportive team and good mentors that help you to take those steps along the way.
Wow, wow, you just dropped the bump right now. You just dropped the bump right now. Like, that's amazing, honestly speaking. You know, and in speaking of that, I just felt that, like, you mentioned earlier on, like, the importance of volunteering, because you did a lot of that, in your journey. Like, you did a lot of that. And I just want you to, like, a little bit emphasize on that. So, because these days, like, people don't take volunteer important,
Yes.
unlike those days that, like, you spend time, like, you have to do it because you want to get the experience. But like now, it's not even about that anymore. People are like, okay, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to waste my time, I'm not going to get paid, I don't want to do this. But I just wanted to emphasize the importance of it, so people will understand that it's not just about what you're gonna get, but it's about like what you are gonna learn from it.
And that's incredibly important right now. And I'd like to point out that currently I am the volunteer president of the Ontario Liberal Party. Many people think it's a paid role. Certainly, I think the Conservatives do pay their president, but I've taken my passion to assist the people of Ontario really into my personal realm of volunteering a tremendous amount of time. But I would say that in my work as a nurse, I often met so many people, especially seniors, that were really shut in at home, that were depressed, that they needed a bit of nursing care, but they still had something to give. And I'd often suggest that they volunteered. And I said, think of when you're helping others and they're thanking you, or you can see a difference that you've made in their lives. That brings so much personal satisfaction that you tend to forget about some of the issues you're facing. And it actually connects you with others. And that's the beauty of volunteerism. And we've seen a huge decline, especially since the pandemic, in volunteering. And, I was in a pretty regulated profession as a nurse. All of my contacts, most of my day in and out, were thinking about healthcare. I was working with my colleagues and patients. And my downtime, so that I didn't burn out as a nurse, was giving back to the community and in getting involved in heritage issues, or helping to plan a community, or joining a project to ensure we have a new health clinic in one of our local neighboring townships. Those situations where I volunteered my time connected me with people across the province. Some of them are lifelong friends. It got me in front of people that sort of had the same vision I did, that really enjoyed what they were doing. And a deep sense of satisfaction is really what helped me to prevent burnout as a nurse and a caregiver. And yet, I was busy all the time, and that was a good thing for me. And I've continued this on. But I think when people are looking around as something meaningful in their life, volunteering is a great way to bring a lot of friends, social context, business contacts sometimes together, along with helping others. That just gives you such a deep, profound sense of satisfaction.
Wow. That's good. I agree with you because I feel that, like, because I remember when I came to Canada, right? I started with volunteering at University of Windsor. I started with
Oh,
that. So, from here to there, like, I had to volunteer, like, just to gain experience and then just to be exposed. Because I feel that, like, there's no how you can enlarge your communication, if you don't get yourself out there. So that really prompted me, like, those days to, like, get out. And I just want to volunteer whenever they're having events. I'm just like, I am up and ready for it. Like, any program, I am up and ready. So I totally agree with you because, it boosts your connectivity with other people as well too, and your networking as well, right?
yeah.
So yeah. And another thing that I want to ask you is this, you talked about mentorship. I love mentorship, I'll be honest with you, because I feel that, like, it is important to, like, to have a mentor, to have someone who is guiding you in the direction where you're going. I feel is very important. And then everyone, like, to have a mentor. So how would you, like, explain this, that people who don't have a mentor and they don't know how to reach their mentors, like, what advice will you give to them?
I would say that the mentors are somebody that you have met, often either in an educational context or an organization that you've decided to volunteer for or are part of. Um, you can maybe look to choosing somebody that you work alongside with in a business setting or in your day-to-day work. And it can also mean somebody that you may have admired or feel does a great job in the organization that you may be volunteering for. And I was blessed because when I started at the Ontario Liberal Party, there were a lot of strong women MPPs as well as cabinet ministers that I was able to speak with during meetings as well as annual general meetings where, let's say, 800 to 1,000 people from the party would show up, and you just get chatting to people. And so there were several that I met with maybe a couple of times a year and asked them what it takes to do the job. And when I was starting to look at a run, I had their personal contact information that they'd given me, and I called them and asked for advice. And not only did I just listen to the advice, but I heeded it. And so I was able to be quite persistent and lost two times in my riding. And then after 71 years, my riding of Cambridge decided to elect a Liberal for the first time, as I said, in 71 years. And I was then serving alongside my mentors of former Health Minister Deb Matthews, former Health Minister and Social Services Minister Helena Jasic, who went on to be our Member of Parliament as the Parliamentary Secretary. So
Mhm.
it's finding somebody and coming alongside them and ask them for advice. And would you have a coffee with me and tell me how you were successful? Do you feel that you can give me some advice when I needed to? So I've got several mentors in different parts of my life that may give me some advice, or somebody I can call and say, well, that didn't go so well. What do I do next? Or because we're not always successful. But
Yes.
how then do you build resilience to come to a resolution that, yes, you tried and failed, but there's a whole lot of people that wouldn't have tried to begin with, and in that way you're successful in challenging yourself, and you may not win whatever it is you're after, but you're
Mhm.
resilient and you think, wow, I had a great experience. I may not have come up on top, but what have I learned? Look at the relationships I've built. Look at the experience I can now take on to my next role in whatever it happens to be, whether it's a volunteer or in your family or your personal life or in business. And that's the exciting thing about trying new things. And I always encourage, especially young women, to believe in yourself. Surround yourself with strong people, men and women alike, and just take that step and know that there's so many other people that are not courageous and wouldn't take this step. And man, look at you go. That's such a proud moment for a mentor as well. Take it from me, who has done some mentoring. I just am as proud as they are when
I
they
would take it
succeed.
from
It's
you.
like, look.
I would take that from you. Honestly speaking, yes, I will. I'm gonna be an example of that. Yeah, um, I just feel that like um, a lot of times, when it comes to mentorship, people tend to like search for mentorship like in the wrong way. I don't know, probably because they just don't really have an idea of like where they're going or what they want. Like some like they will search for mentor like in the wrong direction. Maybe sometimes it can even be books, but I agree with you. A mentor should like be somebody that you've communicated with, somebody like they're all around you.
Yeah.
Only if you can just look at the right people, then you can get the actual mentor that you want. But a lot of time people are so blinded, and they're just looking at the people at the really 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 top, and with that, when they don't get that, they feel laid back. They feel like oh, like they're just alone, and then from there they're like they give up. And like you said, like it is important as a woman that like you believe in yourself, no matter what you want to do, in what area like you want to get into in your career, in your life, with your family. It is important that you believe in yourself, because if you don't, it's difficult for others to believe in you when you don't even see some certain things for yourself. So before we go further, we have so many questions right here, and I'm just gonna take the time to like just read one, and then we go back. Okay, so our viewers has posted like couple of questions, and then I'm just thinking, okay, so What are your greatest challenges being a politician as a woman? Okay, so I'll leave that to you to answer. And I don't know if you want me to take it one by one, or you want me to like just
One
read like.
one by one, one by one would be good. I
Okay.
think the biggest challenge as a woman in politics is social media. And I might just say anti-social media. Women in particular have been proven to be targeted more than our male counterparts, discussing how the person looks, misogyny, um, comments, and misogyny can come from men and women. And recently I was on a call, and I would say that the person on the that was facilitating the meeting was very misogynistic, and it was a woman. And at the end, I was on with a male counterpart, and I said, "Did you get this message or that message from this person?" He said, "No." And yet we were both there, both communicating. Um, so I think that's, to me, is the biggest challenge. We have shown with the social media that women are targeted more on just personal comments, more threats, that it's more difficult to achieve the same level of financial donations towards a campaign than your male counterpart. And I think that many women, and yourself probably included, when you first get onto camera, what do we do as women? We're looking at our hair and our makeup, and
I know, yeah. Like, am I
there's a
looking
lot.
okay? Am I
That's
good? Am I
right.
presentable? Yes.
Yeah, and I think that we are far more critical of our appearance because that's what the media and the social media have taught us. And so when I'm mentoring somebody for campaign school, I said always go to the mirror, get a good routine how you want to present yourself on camera, and do it. And make sure you have backup if you need powder for your face because you're shiny on camera, or your hair. Mine is curly and unkempt, and the odd time mine's sticking straight up. And I think, well, that was something that shouldn't have happened. But sort of practicing on those kinds of things, getting other people to critique you and listen to that, and know how to deal with social media comments that are often fairly abusive and harassing to women. And that means don't read the comments or shut them down. So I think those are some of the biggest challenges as a politician. I would say to follow that up, not all about appearance. In the province of Ontario, some of the best policies came from the grandmothers, as they like to call themselves, at the cabinet table. Suddenly, we were doing a poverty reduction strategy in the province of Ontario. Suddenly, we were focused on social services and increasing affordable and supportive housing. We had a woman in charge of healthcare, so we were putting great investment into home and community care to keep seniors at home longer, which is where they wanted to be towards the end of their life's journey. So those are all things that women really contribute to when you're around a cabinet table. And so I said, forget about what you look on camera. Most people are not as critical as we are, myself included, about myself, and just make sure that you feel comfortable in how you look on camera. And that gives you the confidence, and it's confidence that women project in order to assure the others that they can be confident in that person's ability. It's all about how you look and feel. Put your elbows out and just own your space when you're at that table.
You nailed it. Honestly speaking, it's about how you feel. And I always tell this to a lot of young ladies out there. I always say it all the time. Feel good about yourself. Always ask yourself, how am I feeling today? I read this book long time ago, and then it says that when you're feeling down, excuse me, it says when you're feeling down about yourself, or like you're getting a lot of critique about yourself, go in your closet, put on one of your beautiful dress. You, it sounds very funny, but It's true. It does work. And then put on one of your beautiful dress. Put on those beautiful heels of yours. Do your hair. You're not going anywhere. But you know what? Can't walk back and
Yeah,
forth.
and you look in the mirror, it's like, whoa, who's that?
Can't walk back and forth. And then you will feel the confidence. That helps.
Mhm.
Honestly speaking, it works a lot. Because as women, you know, there's a lot of discrimination about how we look already. And then
Mhm.
the worst that we can take in is we accepting those things as our reality. And then, believing that, okay, really, this is who I am because this is what this person or this is what the media says I am. So it is important that we really find our true self as a person, as a being, and then we are comfortable in being ourselves. And then, with that, it builds the confident level that we have. And when you have confidence, then the sky is the limit. There's no way you cannot fit in. And I feel that, like, with you personally, I can tell that, like, those are one of your biggest strengths because the when you realize that you're comfortable with who you are, being in front of the upper, like, the man, like, in the media, like, you're like, it's okay, I got it because I'm happy with who I am. So imagine if it was the other way, right? So, which it's a good thing that as women, if we can build on that, you
Yeah,
know, finding confident in ourselves, like, going into the mirror and then, appreciating who we are. It doesn't matter how you look, but just appreciate who you are. And that goes a long way. It goes a long way.
it
Yes.
does.
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so we're gonna look at one more question, but before we go on the chat, I have another question for you personally. All right, so what I want to talk to you now is that so what would you say to, like, what three advice would you give to young women? I know you've said so many things. It's important that you volunteer. It's important that, like, you find a mentor. You've said so many incredible things, and I just want a little bit more juice. All right. So, what three things do you think that you've learned in your experience, would you give to a woman, to be able
Uh,
to achieve, the best that they can?
and what a great question, because I wish that I had somebody like you asking me these questions when I was a much younger woman. I came to this later in life and really through necessity, but I would say that there's so many good causes and good, passionate things to care about in our communities right now. And my advice to women is that if you feel passionately about change in whatever it is that you're looking at, whether it's a community led project or supporting youth in something, or getting together with an organization to help feed people, or whatever it is about your passion, take that to the next level. Look around you at what other people are of like minds and lead those folks to saying, why don't we create this? Or why don't we join that? And here's what we could do together. And start something like that and surround yourself with people that are like minded thinkers and doers. Then is the time to investigate how you want to make that difference and look for leaders. Look at the secrets that remarkable leaders give out. And there's all kinds of books from people that are very successful on the types of steps that they took early on. Surround yourself with people that make you feel positive and not negative. Go after those that are leaders themselves and get together and see what you can get done together. Surround yourself with mentors, and also save space and time in order to ensure that you can get this done. In looking at running for politics, that is sometimes a several year project. So if you're thinking about ways that you can contribute at the municipal, provincial, or federal levels, start learning everything that you can about what those decision makers are doing, what levels of government are responsible for, and then start building a profile. Start communicating with your community, letters to the editor, run a blog, get out and get noticed at being at all the events to be a leader. You know, if your food bank is looking for donations, you know, take up a collection around your neighborhood, in your office, or go in and volunteer and lead those teams. And the more often you get those leadership opportunities, they're like steps to the success that at some point you might want to step up. And at that point, you know why you want to run, you know how you're going to run, and you've surrounded yourself with a good team of people that are positive about your success.
Amazing, amazing. I love that. Amazing. All right, so we're gonna go back to one of the questions, right? On our chat. So I have one second. I know there's so many questions going on right now. Okay. Um, okay, so Prince said, how does it feel to be in that position where thousands and millions of people look up to you? Okay. How does that feel?
I would say that I'm pretty humbled by it and very honored, I think, to feel that me, you know, a nurse and really a public servant can have people look up to me. I think it's also a sense of responsibility that how I model myself in public and in the communications that I do each and every day with my community and my former roles as mayor of Cambridge or MPP for Cambridge or as a nurse. Know that it's your credibility and your word that's so important. And I think that when people admire me for that, it makes me try harder to ensure that I'm that role model that people will be looking up for, that they can be proud to say they know me and proud to say that I can mentor them. And it's a very humbling personal experience. And, you know, no life ever goes well and smoothly. And in those darker moments, I remind myself of what people have said, and that in itself can really buoy me up. But I really do try and live my life to the point where I can be that inspiration for others as others continue to inspire me. And don't think that women that and young women that are looking up to me aren't inspiring myself to do better myself and to try harder to get them the success that they want out of their own lives.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then my last question. It's been a beautiful time. Okay. I love this. It's like you should continue, but we gotta work with the time. So all right. So my last question here is that so at this point in your life, or maybe I should say, like, when you started and then you see this vision for yourself, how did you balance it with your personal life? Like, like kids, husbands, and different drama. So like how did you balance it and still keep up with the vision, and you have your husband, like, support, like, because it takes a lot for a man to support like a woman who is very, very ambitious. Honestly, trust
Yes.
me, it takes a lot. So how did you balance that? And sorry, like, I'm not trying to like get into your personal business, but the viewers also would love to know that, like,
Yes.
so they can know how to, balance, like,
I,
things.
I, I will start off by saying I'm not sure I achieved that balance. Maybe that's something I'm not successful at. But anything that I have been involved with is a family run affair. It is not just myself. When I was 12-hour shift nursing in at work, I had to ensure that I had a family support, that my husband and I attacked each and every day's chores with who was home at the time. And so I always say I married him because he cooks. And I wasn't getting home till anywhere from 8 to 9:30 at night after a long day work. So dinner and bedtime had to happen, with my husband. But I found ways of incorporating not only my public life, especially as a politician, but date night means that my husband loved coming to the Portuguese club for all of their special affairs, and I would always personally buy him another ticket if it was something that he wanted to come to, and he could see the joy in the community and sort of experience a lot of the great things that are going on in the community. And my children also had to take that lead role, and we talked about it as a family before I ran for an election, including my election as the Ontario Liberal Party, and had the family support, or I wouldn't have done it. It's a family affair. It's a family that comes together to help, and everyone has to pick up the slack. And I think the counterpoint to some of a lot of what I missed as they were growing up, as not only a nurse but a politician, was brought about by the fact they were really proud of me for accomplishing the Lung Health Act, or being able to advocate for and get our hospital expansion built. There are all kinds of things that are bigger than myself and my family that they have agreed to sacrifice time with me over in order to make a better community for all. So I would say I'm not sure I've achieved the balance, but in today's world, where people are working more in a hybrid way, a lot of online, that is a relief for parents of young children. It allows you to be much more available in the community without the commutes. And I think that that has brought about a better way of work-life balance. But my work and my personal life tended to cross over a lot when I was in politics, because I enjoyed so much being out in the community at different events.
Wow. Wow. I love the way, like the way you mentioned it, that you had to, carry the family along, which I think that is one of the most important thing. And then, as a woman, and you're very, you have this very great vision. It's important, you sit with the spouse, and then you'll talk about it. And I'm sure, even at a early stage, even the spouse could see, the greatness that and the things that this woman can achieve. So, which I'm very, very happy for you that it turns out and then work well for you, because you get the support. So, just this how to, a lot of young women out there who are very ambitious, and then they think, their spouse is going to hold them down. Just take the time, have a proper conversation with your family, make them understand that, it's not just about you being out there, but it's the whole family. Because if something goes down, they come back to the family as a whole, not just the individual. So thank you very much for sharing that. Thank you very much. It's been a very, very awesome time. And
It
I
has
am
been.
very, very, honored that, that you're in our midst today. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. And then just to round up and then close up, we have one of our viewers here that says, thank you so much, to come to this show. This is a great level of humility. I am really inspired to connect and listen to this phenomenal personality here, like eating a jackpot. Thank you so much. Thank you for those comment, Prince. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. This is the reason why we have this show, where people can come, with different stories. You can be inspired, and then your life can take a different form, when you come and you're around positive people. So thank you one more time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And yeah, and I'm sure we're gonna be in touch, and then we'd like to have you back again.
I would love to. And Nini, thank you so much. And, if I can leave your viewers with a big thank you from me. And it is often people that are just so passionate and can't wait to get going on something in life that they can make a difference with. That to me is an incredibly exciting time. So thank you to the viewers for taking the time with us tonight, and really so appreciate your positive energy and the way, you just exude enthusiasm and excitement and just a beautiful personality. So thank you
Thank you.
for asking me on the show. It's been a real honor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So all right, so we have come to the end of our show tonight, and I'm sure many of you know this has been, oh my God, it's been very top notch, and I'm sure that like each and every one of you who are watching, like there's one or two things that you're able to take home today, and most importantly, I don't want you to just take it home, but I want you to practice it. I want you to have it, and then work on it. The sky is the limit. We can achieve so much, as young women, as older women, it doesn't even matter the age or the state that you have in your life presently. There's so much that we can do if only you start to believe in yourself. If you see the vision, go for it, click into it. Don't sit around negative people, and who are going to drain those fire, who are going to drain those energy out of you. You stay around positive people who are going to push you, get you to the state, to the place where you want to be. So I'm encouraging each and every one of you tonight, like stay focused in whatever you're doing. Like, don't give up. Like our guest speaker, she never gave up. She didn't, even when she ran for the election, the first time she didn't give up. The second time she didn't give up. The third time she won. Oh my goodness. So, which means that, like, you have no excuse out there because you tried it one time and it didn't work for you. It doesn't mean that's the end. No, it's not just the right time because the time is still going to come again. So keep on trying. Don't give up. Keep pushing. Consistency, persistency, all these things. Practice them. Go for the things that you want. Very important. Where the world is going right now, you just want to live your dream. You don't want to carry somebody else's dream and let their dream becomes your own dream or your own reality. You don't want that for yourself. You want to live your own life. You want to live your own dream. So please, I'm encouraging each and every one that you've been on the show and the ones who are going to watch the show later on, please believe in yourself. There is nothing you cannot achieve. You can achieve so much more than what you actually even think of. If you take a step and you take action today, you are going to see a greater result. So thank you, everyone. Once again, this is your host, Niniola Fatai. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm going to see you again next week. Next week, you have an amazing time that is coming on. Oh my goodness. You have no idea. Just stay tuned for what is going to happen, honestly. And your life is going to transform. Your life is going to change because we are not here to just sit around. We are here, to touch lives. So our life can be better. There can be more people in the community who are doing tremendous things in their lives. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Been an awesome time. And we are going to be ending our broadcast right now. Thank you so much.